Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the Osu Cats World Cup 2018. Today is a very exciting day. Getting started with the drawings as well as the first Mappool showcase. My name is Sartan Ovo XD, better known as Sartan probably, and I'm joined by Chicken Bible and Divine Cake.
Hello, I'm Chicken Bible. This is going to be my first time commentating, and today, like we said, we're bringing you the drawings, and after that, we're going to be bringing you guys the Mappool showcase afterwards. And we're hoping to have a good time. And Divine Cake, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Divine Cake. I'm also here joined by Sartan and Chicken Bible. This is going to be an awesome group drawing.
It's going to be a great day, I can call that already. Really looking forward to this year's CWC, especially looking at the teams we are working with. They've become so much stronger.
There are a lot of strong teams this year.
We're joined by a lot of strong seeds. There's, for example, we have Korea, who's going to be strong as always, China, USA. We have so many strong teams here. And to be quite frank, there's a lot of teams that could really make a run for it that couldn't really do it in the past years. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, there's been some... Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's fine. We also have some new teams coming in. We have Vietnam coming in here as a strong low seed team here. It's going to be exciting to see how they manage to get through this first tournament for them.
Yeah, that's correct. We got Portugal too. We've got some newcomers, and there's been fluctuations in the better teams as well, in the high-seeded and the top-seeded teams, making them have a little bit of a different structure. So that could turn out into, you know, more interesting matches and different tactics to be seen and had. But anyway, let's just get started with the drawings then. We'll be looking at this beautiful little screen of countries popping by, and we'll be going over them. But firstly, starting with the unseeded teams, as you can see here, those being Denmark, Brazil, Portugal, Malaysia, Singapore, Austria, Hungary, and Colombia. And we will be seeing which group they will slot into. So let's just get started with the first country then, shall we?
Let's go.
That is going to be Brazil of all countries. There you go. Slotting into spot A. So previous year they also participated and sadly failed to make it out of group stage. But this year they are returning with a new roster, which is mostly focused on Nomad and Hidden, but does have some really strong main players as well, which might turn this into a better year for Brazil. So really strong competition.
Even though they're an unseeded team, you shouldn't be mistaken by that, because they have some very strong players. Like we said, Michael Jordan, he's known for being a very good hidden player on leaderboards.
Yeah, he's an old school player as well, so he's had a lot of experience in all these tournaments and as well as just general play in OSU. And after all, it's just going to be really cool, I do believe. I am hoping that Brazil is going to show up and be stronger than previous year, but I do have good and high hopes for them.
Well, yeah, it all depends on the map after.
Getting done with Brazil going into Group B.
And that is going to be Hungary coming into the Group B. Hungary is a pretty strong team, a pretty decent team for their pool, but their biggest problem will be their low participation, with only 3 teams being able to participate for that team. They will have to look out for anybody failing to meet up. That will be a big problem for them.
Yeah, the main issue with Hungary, in the past years at least, is definitely the drive with their players not really playing a lot and not really participating or partaking in a lot of community activities. They always are able to drum up a team for CWC, but they never really were able to actually come far into the tournament or even reach something like the quarterfinals, which is really unfortunate because there's a lot of lovely people over there. But perhaps this year is going to be different. Their roster is quite similar to what they are used to getting, and we'll have to wait and see how that actually turns out in the end. Getting into Group C.
Alright, and in Group C we have Austria, and they're returning back again to 2018 with a new roster, mostly focused on Nomad and Hidden, but they do have some specialists for other mods. they've also been proving themselves as very strong tournament players in the past. So maybe they'll be able to make it out of group stage. Maybe they're not. Maybe they can get an upset versus one of the higher teams. It'd be nice to see.
Austria is an interesting case indeed. There's a lot of potential to be had there once again, but they are just not really keen on reaching the very top end of OSU, and with that I mean farming, etc. Yet their players, some of them are actually quite decent, as we already mentioned. They landed in the unseeded, which is a very unfortunate spot to be in, obviously. But yeah, we'll have to look and just wait it out for a little bit. I'm hoping, I'm not really guessing, but I'm hoping they might be getting out of the group stage this year. But that is going to be very unlikely once again. Then there was Singapore. So Singapore has actually had quite a downfall in the last few years, you could almost say. They missed out on a single victory last year. They had quite a, well, not up to par roster compared to previous CWC years such as 2016. And right now they will be relying a lot on Haeang CTB, who name changed quite recently actually. Maybe better known as Haeang Erica. Some of the team members from previous year will be playing either like Axel, which is a very unfortunate loss to be had. And I don't know what Singapore is really planning on doing this year, whether they're really going to buckle up and go full speed into this tournament and try and at least get out of the group stage, which they weren't able to do last year, or whether they're just going to be that background team once again, which had a lot of potential in the past, but sadly has died out. We don't know. There we have Colombia. So Colombia is a very interesting country. It's actually very funny to see them over here in the World Cup. It's not a country I would have expected to join, but here they are. They're definitely going to be relying heavily on Dele to carry them through the matches, and they don't really have a lot of mod strengths outside of Hidden, but they will really be struggling on stuff such as Hard Rock or DT, as their players such as Azu and Dele. They're not really that great on such maps, especially in the latter rounds. They're going to be struggling tons, I do believe. In this setup, they have landed again in an unseeded bracket. It's obviously very unfortunate and very unlikely for them to make it out of groups, but perhaps they will be able to cheese some map wins as well as some victories over other teams due to their prowess in No Mod and Hidden. We'll have to wait and see.
Going on to the next group. And we have Malaysia. Malaysia has always been one of the strongest unseeded teams throughout previous years. Last year, they were considered by most people the strongest unseeded team. But with a loss of Shadow Fear in the roster, their chances at making a very big upset and getting out of group stages is not as high as it used to be. But when you look at the players that they still have, they have Future Meeker, Gilo-chan, Kurare, Mood Attack, and Loot. These guys have been playing CWC for years on years. I'm talking like 2014. This core was the exact same. So these guys, they can make some big impacts if they really went down on it.
Yeah, we went ahead and fought against Malaysia last year as high seed, and honestly, that was one of the most difficult matches we've ever had. Malaysia's strengths really lie in like group stage and round of 16 levels. Those kind of beat maps, they might falter later on, but this is one of the most likely underdogs to actually make it out of group stage, as they almost did previous year too. So I'm hoping to see, and I'm expecting a lot from them as well. Again, really strong players. They've been in tons of tournaments, tons of community activities. It's absolutely bonkers how much they've played. And then we have Denmark, the next European country to make it in CWC. Returning with a pretty similar roster to last year again. They will be looking for victory in group stage as they weren't able to make it out last year. They do lack a bit of mod strength though, next to no mod. You have Sharp N in that team, though. Sharp N being one of the better hard rock players of the world by this point already. He's shown to be very potent, shown a lot of great plays. But the other names, Rush Shah, Captain Vermi, and only one Magma, they have been around in other tournaments as well, but they never really were on the high-end level, hence why they didn't really farm a lot of PP either. And that results in a unseeded spot in this tournament. I do wonder if they are going to buckle up and also try and get into the high-speed train for this tournament, because I think that Sharp N does have very big expectations and ambitions towards this tournament, especially at his level. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but yeah, pretty potent country. Good for an unseeded team, but nothing too special due to their lack of variety in the roster.
Yeah, adding on to that, it feels like their roster could possibly be like a one-man carry with Sharp N kind of, but ever since the addition of Score v2, one-man carry teams have sort of fallen off, I guess. So it's a lot harder to do a one-man carry as of last year's, or as of previous years, because of the 1 million score cap that we have.
Yeah, I mean, Score v2 has been altered in 2016. Oh, we're just continuing. But I mean, 2016, it was even still possible since Score v2 wasn't quite finalized back then. Think of like countries like Mexico. But at this point, it really isn't possible with the 200 combo cap as well as the 1 million score. Well, I wonder what the next country is going to be. I really do.
There's a lot of countries up there. Like, look at how many. There's like 20 flags,
so
I
many
think.
flags. Wow.
Wow. Whew. It's really a toss-up on this one.
I'm going to guess Portugal. Might be lucky. Oh, I got it.
Oh my gosh, you got it. Wow. Alright, so this is Portugal. This is actually their first time making it into the World Cup. And many people honestly didn't expect them to get into the World Cup this year. It was kind of a shock from left field that these guys made it in. So, with their top player being a hidden main, they maybe can swipe some points from out of the board, but I'm not sure if much is to be expected from them overall.
To be fair, I've been good friends with the Portuguese people. I've played a lot with them throughout my time on O2. They were some of the first friends I made, and honestly, they have been around for a really long time, but just weren't really active community tournament-wise. Really, the only people you saw were Buffo. Sometimes you saw, and this is actually serious, his name, Uvu, around as well. Better known maybe as Airdown, as that was his past name. But honestly, they are a very potent team for even later stages, I would say. They are really keen on playing these unranked, difficult maps, and they just do that really often in multiplayer. Don't know how they are going to fare up in group stage, though. That might actually be more difficult for them. But again, one of these stronger unseeded teams, maybe right behind Malaysia, I would say. I'm expecting and hoping a lot from them. And that rounds it up for unseeded.
Yep, that's all the teams unseeded. So now we should be moving on to the low-seeded teams, in which we have Russia, Japan, Sweden, Italy, Canada, Argentina, Vietnam, and Thailand.
Some surprising names like Thailand and Vietnam, just immediately just jumping to the low-seeded instead of the unseeded.
Yeah, and Japan being down there as well is probably the biggest shock, with Ecker and Nora Arcat, two very strong players.
Yeah, there's a lot of
just
strong
because of
very
the
dangerous.
really huge competition that we have this year.
Yeah, that is correct. Like the unseeded and the low-seeded teams, they fare up to high-seed at this point. And we are kicking off with Sweden. Oh, this is an old returning team. They got third place in 2014 in the CWC. And since then, they really weren't up to that level anymore. They do have the same core as always. They have Satomi, they have Yukitero, Mano, Damn Easy. They are fairly strong at Hard Rock, I would say. That is one of their strong all-around mods. As for Hidden, they're going to struggle. No mod, they might not be able to keep up with the later rounds in the tournament either, because you only really have Damn Easy and Satomi that specialize in those. But altogether, this is still a really solid low-seeded team. This definitely would have been high, or maybe even like top-seeded a year or two ago.
Yeah, their biggest problem is the low activity generally in the country. That might be a problem for their team.
Moving on to Team 2.
And in Group B, we have Canada. And even though they aren't as strong as they were last year, they're missing several key members from last year or the year before, such as Kiptoric. They still have Fee, which is a very big improvement, or a very big member of their team. They also have Yoshi Green and the WWWWW crew, as most people call them, or something like that. And Melonsai, of course. So this team, although they're not that strong on paper, they're actually very good at a lot of mods in general. So Fee is known as a hidden flashlight player, as not many people actually do. She's been setting some pretty impressive scores with hidden flashlight, and maybe she can bring some of that hidden skill into the World Cup this year.
Yeah, you also have I mean, there's two WWWWs again. They haven't quite gone off that trend anymore, but maybe better known as I think it's Zakarian, right? He's also quite competent with hard rock, and so I mean, that was last year, but this year they do have a little bit of a weaker roster, I would say. Indeed, I would agree with you in that. They have people that you might not expect in this team. But then again, mod variety-wise, they might be a little bit stronger than you would expect. But this is definitely a team that you would expect to see in the low seed in this regard. Oh, he's a big one. That's Japan. Oh, man.
All right, so Japan getting in here. It's a really strong team, surprisingly, that they get into the low seeds team. It's gonna be really hard for any team to get out of that group when Japan is there, showing strong performance in both Nomad and Hidden Peaks without slouching on Hard Rock either. This team will definitely be a dangerous team to get up against.
Yeah, this group is really rough so far with Austria and Japan. Probably two of the stronger seeds of their respective brackets. So if you're a high seed or a top seed team, this is probably not the group that you're going to want to be drafted into, because it's looking kind of scary.
Japan is one of those teams you really ought to see in either high seed or even top seed if they really got their roster up and running.
Yeah.
This is a really strong low seeded team. And this is a very likely upset as well. They even have Tatsuke playing. And, like, surprisingly, he's actually quite good at catch the beats as well. Having about 8,000 PP-ish. And also, obviously, he's good at tournaments since he always plays in the TWC and other community tournaments. So in that regard, he might be a very nice addition to the team as well. So again, really strong team. Lots of high hopes. Then we have Vietnam, and this is the debut of Vietnam in the CWC, and it's looking like it's going to be a very solid one of all things. They really made the team consist only of the creme de la top players. It's like just buffed with the 1 to 6 members in ranking in their country. You do have number 8 in that team as well. Altogether, I have not seen them a lot in like community activities, but looking at their plays and their recents, they seem to be really solid in Nomad and Hidden, with a little bit of weakness in Hard Rock. But potentially this could be a really surprising team to behold, because again, they might just come out as one of the very stronger lower seeded teams again. They do have the potential. It's just all about the action of undertaking a lot of practice and getting ready to try and beat a high-seeded and top-seeded team as it is required to really get out of the group stage. Also playing against Singapore, which is not a shabby unseeded team. This might be really interesting, this group as well.
Yeah, another thing to be looking for there is like the tournament practice. Do they have the mentality needed to play in the tournament? Will they like get nerves? Will they be nervous when they play?
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm talking about.
Perform.
And moving on to the next group, we have Russia. So the team Russia this year, they're missing their number 1 player, who is actually number 1 global right now, is Squix. And they're also missing Vegan, who has been the staple on the roster for the past few years. With this year, they have Nelly, AoE, One Love, One Life, who has been climbing the rankings ever since last year. They might be able to bring the madness and make a very good showing this year, hopefully.
Yeah, the roster's not looking bad. It's definitely not bad. By any means, it's actually a really solid roster. It's just not really optimal. It's not really what Russia could be up to, which is definitely unfortunate, which also led them to being a low-seeded team instead of like a high-seed or perhaps even top seed if you really had Vegan and Squix. But in this regard, still, they're going to be pretty strong with Hidden, maybe even with Hard Rock, and that will definitely lead to some potential upsetting too, depending on who is going to be the high seed in that respective group.
And in the next group, we have Italy. So Italy is, in my opinion, probably the strongest low-seed team. Probably about the same power as Japan. They have Arma 79 and Karim. These guys are shown to be two of the strongest Condor players that we have currently in catch right now. And supporting them, we have 119, 410, 501, and Trolling Gore. Two players who have been around the World Cup. They know what they're doing. So these guys, they can make a big shock. The only problem is their roster size is only 4 players. So if they're missing one of those key players of Karim or Arma, something wrong might happen, or something not not good would happen per se if they miss a match.
It's definitely a roster you would expect to perform well when the entire roster is there, and that is going to be really interesting. Again, this could very well be the strongest low-seeded team due to those top 3 players in their team. The number string 1-1, we have Karim, and we have Arma. Those people are just really good. They've shown to be amazing in solo play. They are not too shabby in multiplayer as well as tournament play. And honestly, this group is shaping up to be ridiculously strong again. And it's Malaysia with Italy in the same group as in CVT 2017. This is the exact same group so far as we had previous year. It might just happen again that this is going to be the group of death. Who knows?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting if both Netherlands and USA get put into that group again.
That would be the exact same group as previous year.
Oh.
Thailand. So this is a returner of a country. They have been away for 2 years from this World Cup. And honestly, what we wrote down is that this team consists of a lot of mappers. People tend to call this the mapper team within the circle of commentators. Overall, it's looking like quite a potent team. I wouldn't consider it being like one of the very best low-seeded or even a high-seeded team. In that regard, it definitely won't be up to par to some other countries. You do have some really strong players like Bank78952 though, which has proven to be one of the most underrated players out there, especially for somebody from Thailand. So again, there could be surprising upsets here. Really just depends on how much they practice, because I do believe that all the players in the team do have a certain potential, definitely up until like, I would say semi-finals. So how serious they will take this, that's up to them. But that could prove to be either fatal or just really good for them. They might just pick out a high-seeded team.
Alright, and as you all can guess, the last team for this round is Argentina. So Argentina is coming back this year with Forrest, Dante, Rimuru-sama, and a few more other people who are kind of new to the scene. The big problem for Argentina this year is probably that they're missing some key members such as Retziwi and Velper K. These guys were big names in the previous years, and they're not playing this year, sadly. But hopefully they'll still be able to put out a big performance with their captain main carry force.
Yeah, Argentina has sadly sunk in how far they could get in the tournament. They used to be one of the top dogs, especially when Score V1 was still a thing, and when they had Velper K. That was just such a good team, just because of Velper K alone, you could almost say. But yeah, there's definitely some members that you miss in this roster. Of course, Dante, Rimuru-sama, Jeremias, Ambition, and Sosaluciosa, I think that is correct. That is a really long name. Sorry if I butchered that. I probably butchered that, didn't I? But yeah, there's some names you would have liked to see in this roster. They are not here, but they are a fitting low-seeded team, I would say. Very adequate for what we expect from a low-seeded team this year. Which wraps up all of the low-seeded teams.
Yep. And as a side note, before we get moving on to the high seeds, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Alien Flybot, who has been consistently providing the team members for every single team as we've been going on. And it's been very helpful to people in the chat. So give a quick round of applause to Alien Flybot for helping out.
Great dude, great lad.
Thanks, man.
And I hope you guys are all enjoying the stream so far as we are heading into the high-seeded countries. Spin the wheel, and here is who we have on that list. We have Norway, we have the Philippines, we have France, Australia, Finland, Poland, Mexico, and the Netherlands. And damn it, this is looking like a really strong high seed. Starting off with Australia. So Australia is quite the interesting team, as they have improved very much in recent years, I would say. This is one of those teams that has gone from zero to hero. Has some really strong players like Ice Dealer, Chicken Nando, Grace Wonder, and they are here to try and take up the CWC once again. They've proven to be strong in tournaments such as AXS, DAT. They have shown up. They have proven themselves over there. They are strong with Hard Rock and DT, I would say. Those are the definite comfortable picks. High accuracy players too, which could prove to be very handy in group stage and round of 16. All in all, a very solid starter already. Definitely a team you don't want to mess with in the earlier rounds, and a team that you could also see in the later rounds doing the best and actually beating people.
Alright, and in Group B, we have France. We have France and Canada in the same group. So we have two French-speaking countries. Anyways, France this year, they're not as strong as a lot of people would think to be. They're actually missing a lot of their core members this year. They're missing Titobis, Harashi. There's just so many of them that you just can't even count. But they still, even though they're missing probably up to like 6 or 7 people in their top 10 ranks, something around that number, they still put up a team that is worthy of getting into the high seeds. That team is going to be Basto, No Life, Orinoshi, Suni, who is actually from Reunion, which is a territory of France, and Full Grant Krill and Legrand Cask. So these guys, they can bring some power, especially in the Hard Rock and Nomad, with No Life being a Nomad convert guy. He has some very good scores. And maybe they can get some upsets versus one of the top seed teams.
Yeah, France's top 10 players are absolute monsters. It's just really sad that you don't see all of them in this team, or as many of them. There's definitely more potential to be had. But, I mean, people like No Life or Inoshi, Legrand Cask, they have proven to be really good in tournaments too. They have great mod variety. They can pretty much just salvage anything in the Mappool. It's going to be really fun to see them play against Canada and Hungary.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up.
Next pick.
The Philippines.
Alright, so the Philippines are looking to stack up this year with the inclusion of Chara on the roster, missing him last year. They have really focused in on their people players, including all of their top 6 players here, and are this year showing a really solid team to participate in the World Cup. Solid plays all around in Hard Rock, Hidden, and Double Time.
Yep, and this is also looking to be a really, really scary group now. Now that they got Austria, Japan, and the Philippines, these guys are... Japan and the Philippines, for me, are without a doubt the strongest teams in their respective seed. So, this is looking really scary for all the top-seeded teams out there. If you are a top-seeded team, like, you want to avoid this at all costs.
Group C,
like, do whatever you can. Just get out of there, yeah. Group C, group of death right there.
Yeah, drop your prayers.
Yeah.
Hope for the best. This is not the group you want to win with. Moving on to Group D. Mexico. or Mexico is a fun country. Nonetheless, they have a strong core consisting of Punchivi, Estrella, and Siege Lucha, and they've been in so many tournaments together before. They have so much experience accumulated at this point. Those are going to be their main members, whereas we also have Juan Ciudades, we have Fensele, and we have Casio. Casio also being a fairly solid hidden player. So this group has quite a variety of mod capabilities. They can do high AR, they can also do hidden really well. It really depends on how the chemistry and composition will work in the later rounds. It's definitely a team that could make it fairly easily out of group stage, I would say. But from that point on, it's going to get harder. It's going to get way harder for them to do anything. Maybe cheese stuff with hidden on and activated. But altogether, it's really going to come down to how much the players, the non-top 3 people that I just mentioned, are actually going to perform in this tournament, as they are kind of unknown. I wouldn't know exactly how well they will cope. But if they do well, this is definitely a potential top 8 team.
Definitely.
Like last year.
Yeah.
Into the next pick.
Which is Norway.
Alright, Norway should take this. This is one of the strongest rosters coming out of Norway in recent years. Attempting to stack up on the PP to get as high as possible. With a few returning players like Razor Sharp, this team is aiming to get out of the group stage this year. They are still lacking somewhat in double time and hard rock picks, with no real mod specializers there, and will mainly rely on no mod and maybe some of the low AR hidden picks to carry them through the group stage.
Yeah, they have a lot of high ranks, like you said. They have Grorax and Razor Sharp, so those guys, they can do very well. But the question is whether they will do very good in the tournament.
Moving into Group G.
Will it be Netherlands?
Oh boy.
Oh, if it's gonna be Netherlands, I'm gonna cry.
Oh.
This was so close to be. I mean, the thing is, if the Netherlands were to jump into that group, we would have 3 of the same members as for last year. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. So yeah, here we have Poland of all countries. Poland is sadly not at their full potential. They don't have Lecce this year, which is a big issue maybe, because Lecce has played so many tournaments and has improved so much in 2017, 2018. He's become one of the best players in the entire world, I would almost say. I would almost consider. Unfortunate seeding last year made them actually get knocked out of this tournament quite fast, but this year seems to be very hard for them, as well as they will have to face Italy and Malaysia in the group stage, 2 countries that you really don't want to meet up right there on. Again, they have been in tournaments many years in a row. Cosmet, Boba, Philo, Vampire, and Skylia, that is. There's one more member that I don't really know, haven't really seen him before. His name is so difficult to pronounce. I'm gonna try it one time. Oygjibrishvish, or something along those lines. I can't even attempt at doing it. It's such a long name. Look it up in the wiki. Mod variety is strong. They might be able to do some nice double time in the earlier rounds. They're going to be strong and hidden in the later rounds. And they are definitely trying to look and get out of the group safely this year as well. Rip English, yeah. That is just too hard of a name for me to try.
Hey, at least you tried. You tried.
At least
you got
I
an A+
tried.
for effort. I wouldn't even try to attempt that.
It's gonna be fun when they get out, when everybody tries to say that name.
And for this group, we have Finland. So Finland this year, we have Yurdi. Yurdi has actually been making a huge surge recently. Most people were considering him not to be active, more so in the prior years. But this year he's been really taking it a step up, and he's been getting some very good scores. So these guys might have a very good chance at making some good upsets or good victories with Yurdi as their strongest player. But they also have Forgotten Taco and Nikolai, as well as Kurtzy. These guys have been playing World Cups for quite a bit, and hoping to see something good out of these guys.
Well, there's one country left, and that's my country, the Netherlands. So we are going to be matched up with Portugal and Argentina. Our roster really hasn't changed a lot since last year. Only 2 members were swapped out, those being Enchan and Cake Banana. They have been swapped out for Blue Sparkles and Kev K. Jeff. We find our team to be quite balanced this year around. We might be struggling in the later rounds with like the very high-end maps, but as for group stage, round of 16, quarterfinals, we should have a pretty potent team to battle off the other teams with. Some returning players this year as well, like myself and Wesley, Woosly X33 Ovo, I should say, as well as Animuvu Kovo, or yeah, we butchered all of her names. Sorry for that, but that's a collab for CWC, and we love it. But yeah, you can check it out on the wiki if you want more information on that. Our main weakness is probably hidden in this regard, and all in all, I do believe we're gonna have a bit of a better shot in 2017.
I'm surprised that you didn't mention that you also have Bads on your roster too.
Yeah, we also have Bats, but he's
Yeah.
he's somebody who returns every year as well. I should have
Yeah.
mentioned, but I was
Very
in
good
the
player.
Uvu Ovo mood, you know. Those names are great. He should
didn't-
name change as well.
You should.
Didn't memify his name. It's bad.
Exactly.
Alright, moving on to the top seeded teams. All these teams are strong here. Nothing really to remark about weaknesses here. And it is United States, China, South Korea, Chile, Indonesia, Germany, Hong Kong, and Taiwan.
Yeah, so this is probably, I'd say, the strongest top 8 that we've had in a while. I'm not talking about like the top 3 teams in the top 8, I'm talking about overall top 8. All teams in the top 8, I think, have a chance to actually make some major upsets and get into top 3 if they really wanted to.
Gonna have to agree with you in that, definitely.
Alright, and for Group A, we have Germany. Germany will be going with Brazil, Sweden, and Australia in this group. So Germany this year, they are actually very, very strong. They have a lot of old players returning this year, plus some new faces. They got Nokuroi, who's coming back, and we thought this guy was inactive, but he's coming back and he's playing this year. They have Vinci, they have Sasaki, who is, I don't know what he's doing, but he's back now, and he's hopefully gonna make a name for himself. Tenchi-chan, Namura, and Nimiyuko, those guys are the new guys for them. And all of them have some very good strengths, and this Germany team can very realistically make it in the top 3.
Yeah, mod spread is amazing for this team. It's all going to depend on how serious they're going to take this, but if they were to take this really seriously, that is a top 3 team for you. The setup is there. It's all in the matches themselves and their practice.
Yeah, it depends on if their older players, Sasaki and Nokuroi, can kind of get back into shape and play at the level that they played at in
Yeah, they've been
previous
inactive.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have. But they have done that many times over, just taking long breaks and then returning, just ever as good as they were. So that might just happen again this year. So we have Taiwan next up. Taiwan, this year is going to be really cool for Taiwan, I do believe. This team brings a very, very solid mod spread. We have some legendary old school players making their comeback here. People such as Majija Bakune, we have Mappool serving as their captain again, and then we have the new faces such as XXXZ, Naniwa. You also have Scarlet Rose and Salami. Those people should be familiar to most of you as well. They have been in the community for a long time. But this is just such a great spread, honestly. They are good on Hidden, they're good on Hard Rock, they are potent on Double Time as well. There's not a lot of weaknesses. The only thing that could maybe be a little bit concerning for this team is that they aren't really top class, I would say. They aren't like China level good in the all-round department. But then again, you can practice map pools and you can get prepared for these matches, which will definitely highlight them in a very good manner, I do believe.
Yeah, they have some major potential with Set, aka Majija Bakune. And he's known to be one of the best Nomad players at like the wonky stuff that you see, like the AR9 2013 specific maps. You'll always see this guy at the top of the leaderboards like, consistently. So, hoping they can do some very, very good runs.
Also for XZ, that is actually Sakura, for the people that don't know. Just name changed quite recently. Yep. China.
China. There we go. One of our favorites, or our favorites, I believe. all of the commentators generally agree that this is the strongest team coming into CDC this year. Being strong in every foreseeable map, foreseeable mod, they will definitely be a fearful opponent for Group C.
Definitely. If there is any group possible that China could, in any world, possibly get out of group stage and not get into the later rounds of the tournament, this is it.
Yeah,
this is probably gonna be some stressful times for the China players because they're playing.
It's gonna be stressful for everybody in that group.
Japan, yeah. We might need to get out the medical stretchers over here. These guys, they're not gonna have a good time probably.
Yeah, Group C is the place to look at. But yeah, China probably the strongest team this year. I think we all agree on that, commentator-wise. No weaknesses at all to really mention. They might be the winner this year. But in this group, they are still up for a little bit of a challenge, with Japan and Philippines also being very hungry for a spot in round of 16.
Alright, and in this group we have Hong Kong. So Hong Kong, they have the same core as previous years. They got the same big players. They got Alien Flybot. They got all these guys. They have Lottie Fasama. They have Chung Bi, Alice Carlin, and Neo Zeron. Plus Dynamics Braver, who's actually making a first appearance. So these guys, they're known to be some of the best tournament players, I'd say. And they could provide a big challenge, even though their individual skill level per se isn't really as high as per se USA or Korea or China. They can still compete with them because of their wide mod performances and their teamwork that they have.
That is correct. A very strong tournament players. They've played very well in the AXS for one. They played really well in CWC last year as well. They were the best high-seeded team that got furthest in the tournament. They were like top 6, whereas the second strongest was the Netherlands with top 8. They beat it 6-3. And now they finally have made their first appearance in top seed, where I think they do indeed belong. And they have improved over the last year. Don't worry about that. They're not as good as last year. They're just way better than last year still. And here we have Chile. That is a really interesting country too. This team is stacked. This team really is stacked. They got their best members in pretty much like last year. Relentless they are. They are really good with hard rock. They are really good with double time. And they are even better probably with hidden. The only thing that has always bottlenecked the team was tournament nerves and inconsistency. The team consisted of Ovo Nyanqt X33, better known as Lanqt XZ, Nico, Lechiguin, Shinji Wings, Eldenel, and Quit User, who was able to make it into the team last moment, which is a great addition. And this team is definitely going to rock the battlefield. Getting into the group with Colombia, Russia, and Norway, they are probably not going to have that hard of a time, honestly. I do believe that they are going to be some of the people that we really need to watch out for in the later stages, such as finals, top 4, etc. They have the potential there.
Hopefully they don't get knocked out as early as they did last year, because that would be quite a shame, honestly.
Alright, South Korea. Lacking some of their most well-known players like XCOM and Spectator, this year's South Korea isn't shaping up as the strongest South Korea we have seen in some years now. They are still a fairly fearsome squad to be reckoned with. You need to watch out for them. Maybe struggling some of the DT, but they will be solid on no mod, hidden, and hard rock, and not being that weak on the double time before it really gets into the final weeks.
Yeah, so even though you mentioned XCOM and Spectre playing, there's still so many more players that aren't playing for these guys. They don't have motion. They don't have Azrael. Azrael's playing Tycho and a lot of other things, mapping now. They're missing a lot of their core members that have been carrying them throughout the past years. But they do have one really strong member who has been always consistent, and that's Berea. Berea is going to be looking to be the true mental rock, I'd say, for Korea this year. It's all up to whether they can perform mentally with their roster right now because they have the potential. It's just they have to form the team together with the old blood and the new blood. Hopefully, make a good run at it.
Also, press
Also-
F for Group F. That
Yeah,
that group is
have to pay
stacked. Jesus Christ. Alrighty, as for Group G, is it gonna be Indo or US? Are we gonna face? Are we gonna face USA the third time in a row?
Indonesia.
We have Indonesia in Group G though. Before we get on with the USA, this team is known to being one of those top 3 teams throughout the years. They have just been in those spots since 2016, and their roster was one of the very strongest. They were so close to beating China many times. They could beat South Korea as well. This year they have even a bigger chance, I would say. But I do believe that the team has slimmed down a little bit strength-wise. They have 3 main players we're going to be watching, those being Deceitful, Dika312, and Galaxy. Those being known for being such great tournament players. Minalinsky is making a return too. He's been serving the country very well for the past few years as well in tournaments. Then we have Lewin and Shirelia, old school players, both of them returning. Hopefully making a little bit of hopefully showing themselves a little bit in the group stage as well as the round of 16, where there have been many times. This is probably a team that is going to struggle when they don't have a full roster available though, especially in anything beyond round of 16. Deceitful Dika and Galaxy used to be those people you would throw into every map because they are all-round players and they're just really good at what they are doing. But once one of those people is missing, it might be really tough for them to face other countries such as, you know, Chile, China, even South Korea, USA, those countries. So it really depends on how many people they can drum up as to how far they'll get in the tournament.
Definitely. And another big factor for this team is are these guys playing actively even more? Deceitful has been very, very inactive ever since the last World Cup. Can he come back and perform like he did last year? That's still a question mark that a lot of people have. He hasn't been playing nearly as much as he used to. So if he can come back and play in that same shape and same form that he did in previous years, these guys are going to be scary. Alright.
And there's the meme.
Yep.
Before we get started, I just want to make something clear. This is the 3rd time in CWC in a row we have the America versus Netherlands in group stage. The 3rd time in a row.
To top it
Oh
off,
my god.
now both me and Sarn, players of both teams, are commentating this year. It's like,
Yep.
That's
Big
really such a coincidence. Big thinking, yeah. So, anyways, USA this year. We're hoping to make a really, really big run for it this year. Every single year, we've gone up 1 place from the previous year. So, I think in 2016, we went 8th, and 2017, we went 4th, 2016, we went 5th. I know that's really bad order, but we're going 1 up every year, and hopefully, if all goes to plan accordingly, we'll get top 3 this year, but who knows? There's a lot of strong competition this year. We got myself, Zach, Playboy, Electro, Guillotine, and the Creeper on the roster this year. We're missing a lot of strong players such as Kebris, Itzy, and Dell, who all would have been really nice additions for us, but we are making do with what we have, and we're still really confident in our roster this year that we can hopefully get top 3 and maybe beat the Netherlands in our group stage. That'd be a nice, fun time. Don't you think, Sarton?
Yeah, it's gonna be a really fun time. No, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys in groups. It's always fun to play with you guys.
Definitely, you guys always provide good competition.
Exactly.
And we got Argentina and Portugal too in our group this year. So it's not gonna be like Italy and Malaysia like we had last year, but it's still gonna be pretty
It's still
challenging.
gonna be really interesting. Yeah, those are some underdogs potentially as well. And that's gonna round it up for the drawing. So in Group A, we have Brazil, Sweden, Australia, and Germany, Deutschland. Then for Group B, Hungary, Canada, France, and Taiwan. Group C is gonna come in with Austria, Japan, Philippines, and China. You can take over if you wanna. Chicken bug.
Alright, sure. and in Group D, we have Singapore, Vietnam, Italy, and Hong Kong. And in the next group, we have Colombia, Russia, Norway, and Chile. In Group F, aka Group of Death, probably. One of the groups of death. We actually have 2 of them, probably. I'd say, with Group C and Group F.
Yeah.
We have Malaysia, Italy, Portugal, and Korea. You want to take the last two, Pancake?
Yeah, sure. And Group G, we get Denmark, Thailand, Finland, and Indonesia. And in the final group, Group H, we get Portugal,
Portugal,
Argentina, the Netherlands, and the USA. Those top teams meeting each other once again.
So as a quick recap, the two main difficult groups in this stage are going to be Group C as well as Group F. Those are definitely going to be the groups of death. Those are the strongest team accumulated into in their respective bracket, I want to say, with that, their respective seeding. Those are really some of the strongest countries accumulated all into one mismatch. That is going to be absolute bonkers to watch. There's definitely some potential upsets in different groups as well, such as D. I would definitely see some country like Vietnam take over Mexico or Hong Kong. That could happen, potentially. We don't know. But all in all, it's looking like a very fun drawing. It's looking like there's going to be some very fair and good competition this year around in the group stage. Really looking forward to this.
That's going to be good.
And that wraps it up for drawings. So, we are going to get prepared for the first Mappool.
Hype.
You guys deserve to know what's coming in the coming weekend. And hence why we are showing them off. So the Mappool consists of 6 no mods, 3 hard rocks, 3 double times, 3 hidden, and then you also have a tiebreaker to finish it all off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we'll be having, pretty sure, is it 1 ban this year, right? 1 ban per team?
Yeah, 1 ban per team, like in 2017.
Yep. So it's a little bit different from a lot of other tournaments, possibly, where you get 2 bans per team, but this is also counteracted by the fact that there are only 3 mod picks for Hard Rock Double Time.
Yeah, that is correct. Over the years, the map pools have shrunk in size. Firstly, they were 4 per mod bracket. You also even have 3 mod, and it was quite a bit different. Right now, there's more or less lesser bans, but also lesser maps to pick from, which makes the map pickers gives them a little bit of an easier time picking very suited maps per round, as they don't have to pick as many. So in that regard, it's definitely an improvement in my opinion. Some people do disagree and they want more variety in how much they can ban, because they see that as a tactic, which I understand as well. Altogether, this is how it's been in the past year or 2 already. And we are just moving on with exactly this. Most of the time, you have 2 specific maps in each mod pool, and you have 1 convert. As for no mod, you have 4 specifics and 2 converts most of the time. We've also been holding on to that sort of picking style in the recent years.
Yep, and just as a reminder, you can always use hidden on Hard Rock and Double Time picks, but they will not give extra score with Score V2. And Tiebreaker will be played under no mod conditions, which means you cannot use any mod at all.
Yep, disallowed. But yeah, I think we can get started.
Yep.
Just waiting here for the stream to catch up to speed. Kicking off with Pluto. Yeah, up that volume. Good, good.
Alright, so this is mapped by Haraimu. And this map is quite interesting in the fact that it is CS 4.5 and has a lot of speed changes and many anti-flow patterns, as you can see. This map is not too easy for a lot of high players even though it's just a rain, it has a lot of awkward snaps and dashes. So it should be very interesting to see if teams will pick this or ban it. What do you think, sir?
Yeah, I think this is definitely the hardest map in the normal pool. Looking at the others, as you already said, there's anti-flow hypers into other hypers that are quite unexpected at times and just fairly hard, I would say. As well as the fact that it's CS 4.5, it's not usual 4 or 4.2. So precision is key on this map as well. It's going to be pretty precise with your catcher. It's quite a jump up from what you'd expect in the normal specific pool, at least for group stages in CWC. But I'm glad to see the change.
Also, given the speed up towards the end here, it's gonna be as the intensity increases, you also feel the nerves coming in here.
Yeah, that's another big factor, is this song is also very intense. You could see some very awkward misses from players if they get nervous.
Next to that, you also have a lot of spinners in this map. So that could definitely shape the game as well. As we already discussed, teams have become really strong, and a lot of these matches in group stage could definitely come down to just spinners. So having a long spinner or multiple spinners within a map, that is really important, and that may be the name of the game, depending on how good either team is.
It may come down to many spinner battles.
Uncontrollable. It's gonna be our second pick of the normal map pool.
Yep, so this is mapped by Yumino Himiko, otherwise known as Examination, and he's been known for making a lot of really solid lanes. The key fact about this map is that it has a lot of hard droplets with very fast BPM. It has a lot of direction changes, so a lot of people, if they're not too comfortable with their platter control, they can very easily get mixed up and maybe miss several notes at one time or possibly even fail too.
Yeah, accuracy is pretty difficult to maintain on this map, I would also say, as the distance keeps varying, and hence also the way you need to dash and catch certain notes. All in all, also has some slow parts. These can be pretty sour to actually try and catch properly. Slow parts can invoke a lot of nerves, which you don't want in a match, obviously. Nerves will definitely lead to some very shitty misses at times, and that is definitely key in this map.
Yeah, as you can see, right now we're getting into the end chorus, which is probably the hardest part of the map. You can see those big left-right direction changes that some people might be able to miss them. Topping off with a spinner at the end. Got them spin battles possibly coming in too. It's always nice to have.
Moving on to the next, a Saigetsu Midnight Moon Walker remix by Spectator. This is one of the longer maps in the normal pool, and will be a consistency test for a lot of teams.
The main factor about this map is that a lot of the spacing is relatively low for what you would find for. If you're looking at some of these just non-hyper jumps, you'll see that the spacing is very low, and it's actually almost walkable, that spacing is. So if you don't have good control of your platter, it might be a little bit harder to hit some of those smaller jumps, because you can either underdash it or overdash it.
That's a good point. There are a lot of places where it is walkable just barely, or just dashable.
And coming in at, I think, 3.5 minutes this map is. Yep. It's going to be very long and very tedious for a lot of players. It's always nice to have spectator maps in group stages, to be honest, I think. Spectator maps are always just really clean. Fun to play. It's my opinion. What about you guys? What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's very fitting for something like a group stage, the cleanness of the map. It's nothing out of the ordinary. You don't really have to stick out your neck and do weird stuff within the map. It's more of a test with consistency and just your general catch control. As you already mentioned, the spacings aren't too crazy, and the map doesn't really hype up to being this amazing clown fiesta towards the end. It's your typical spectator map that you would expect.
And also, like, mention some of these stacks we have here, where we see the player wiggling here. They are technically able to just stand still. You can catch them, but it is really difficult to keep that aim then.
It's a little challenging, but it is possible. Don't worry, I've tried it. It is possible to stand still on those. It's just a little bit of a tighter window.
Yeah.
Also, overdose in group stage, that's new, isn't it?
Yeah, this is actually the second one, I think, if we consider Pluto to be an overdose as well. It's technically another difficulty, but I think it's kind of an overdose.
Yeah, it's up to your imagination, really.
Yeah.
It's quite tough to hard rock for one, which you don't really have a lot with hard rocks. Overdoses. Most overdoses are pretty doable, at least for the high-end players. Well, it's probably down to the CS 4.5 on Pluto, but yeah, it's up to your imagination whether you see it as a rain or an overdose. I would probably see more of an overdose myself.
Yeah, even this map, it's kind of like, as I see Tenchi-chan in the chat pointed out, it's sort of like an easier overdose, a very calm, easier overdose compared to a lot of overdoses nowadays, which is kind of a nice change.
That is correct. As for Nyaten, you've only missed 2 maps before, which were Pluto from Haraimu, Haraimu's another, and Uncontrollable from Ito Kanako, mapped by Yumeno Himiko, rain difficulty. That is all.
Song is very nice.
Yeah.
It actually does get a little bit more spacing, I think, towards the end of those wiggles.
Yeah, it's quite snappy. It's definitely further spaced, but snappy it still does for me. Also, we're just gonna fix something real quick after the stream, which is the background dim on the maps. So you're gonna see this beautiful little animation once again. Also, Divine Cake is having a little bit of an issue with his internet. But we are here to conform you, definitely.
Yeah, me and Sarin are gonna provide you with some nice care, and what else are we gonna provide them with, Sarin? I don't know.
I don't know, more coverage on the Mappool, I guess, once that comes back up. Divine Cake actually has a power outage in this area. That is really unfortunate.
Yeah, nice timing.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate timing, but yeah. Just F for a little bit of...
I guess we could possibly answer some questions if any people have some, maybe.
Yeah,
Depending
that
on
is
how long
correct.
it'll take.
How Score V2 works, Mango does ask. I think you know, Mango, but yeah, we'll quickly explain. So, in a nutshell, Score V2, from this point on, your max combo you can really get on Score V2 is 200. What that means is your score per fruit will cap off at 200. So, the 300th fruit won't give you more score than a 200th fruit. Actually, really doesn't matter a lot in catch. It doesn't really provide for any relevant score, I would say myself. And spinners count so that every banana gives you 350 points. No, it's not 400. It used to be 400, I think. Yeah.
I think it's
that
450. That is.
Half. Yeah, we had like 2 versions of Score V2 before that actually got replaced with 200. That used to be either 450 or 400, and then it dropped down to 200, which leads to like way closer scores as well. And honestly, in my opinion, also fairer scoring. Combo used to be way too important in catch anyway. Now it's way more balanced, I would say. Yeah.
All right, and it seems like we're ready to get back going into this. So. The next map for the Nomad picks is da 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 da
Da da da da da da da da da.
Also known as Minato Yukina for now. And this is one of the older maps in CGB. It's got a lot of unconventional patterns, but it still stays normal to a lot of current maps, I'd say.
Yeah, a lot of people might know the EX difficulty on this map, and honestly, it's just a dimmed down version of the EX difficulty. Extreme jumping, and you really need to be snappy on these. I will tell you that much. The streams, as you can see, also have a little spacing between the fruits as well, so obviously you can plate walk them, but overshooting or undershooting might lead to some problems as well. Altogether, really snappy and quite a famous map at that as well. As you can see, some interesting sliders too.
It's a great song too.
And it stays consistent all over the map. The ending is a little bit more jumpy, I would say, but the streams do pop up about everywhere.
This section right here can also be very tricky for some people because of the awkward spacing between the hypers and the non-hypers.
Yeah, and going for droplets might actually be a bad idea here and there, depending on how you
gotta wait for the
undershoot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here it goes.
We're gonna get the spam in chat.
That's to be expected, and that is good.
It is
good job, guys. Good job. But yeah, as you guys can see, consistent all over the board. Really doesn't fluctuate too much pattern-wise. Accuracy is going to be the downfall of a lot of people here. Might be hard to even get close to an SS on.
There's
And
a few tricky droplets.
Yeah.
The fact that there's also no spinners, by the way, on this map means that missing one droplet could mean a loss for your team.
That's true. That is exactly true.
Alright, and next we have Far East Nightbird Extreme by Nekamata Master. So this map is the first convert map that we have. CS5, and you need really good platter control to catch some of these really awkward streams that it has. As you can see, that was also one of the few big jumps that are in this map. There's also another one, I believe, coming up at around right here, maybe?
Yep.
Somewhere. It was somewhere, I don't know. But this jump has a few bigger, unexpected, anti-flow kind of jumps, as well as very precise streams. So this could be a very tricky map for some people.
Yeah, this map reminds me a lot of Oblivion from previous years' round of 16 Mappool. It's quite similar in its playing style. CS5 is obviously going to be a big hinder for a lot of people that have bad catcher control. Altogether, this might be one of the more difficult moments as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely unorthodox, I should say.
Yeah.
As you can see, this spacing on some of these snaps is very brutal. As long as with those awkward streams where you kind of have to tap dash them to hit them very accurately, it's very different.
It is definitely not something that correlates a lot to the catch meta. So it's quite a change of pace whenever you're picking this map.
Also, yes, Australia, there will be converts later on. This is one of the converts, and there will be a convert in every mod pool, at least one.
Yay!
So, don't worry.
Converts for everybody.
Everyone's in love with convert players, yep.
It's the formula we've been using, right? 4 to 2 and 2 to 1 ratio per brackets, that is. Pretty much a 2 to 1 ratio, you could call it that. Except for the fact that it's not possible to do a 2 to 1 ratio in the tiebreaker, so that's going to be specific.
Yeah, sadly. We need some convert tiebreakers. Maybe someday in the future. Probably not, but who knows.
Those died out.
Anyways, this is our next pick. Marble Soda by Sean Wasabi. Cryers Extra. This is another convert, and it's probably the more, I'd say, basic of the two converts that we have. It's very simple in structure. It has some patterns that are tap dashy, and it has some awkward jumps that are a little unexpected, like those right there, as you saw. So this map could be a pick that some of the higher seeded teams could play. Maybe hope that one of the lower seeded teams gets an unlucky miss on one of the jumps.
The main issue with this map for a lot of people will probably indeed be these spacings in between null hypers. Those are pretty difficult in this map. Otherwise, I would call this more of an easier version of Far East Nightbird. Half dash wise, stream wise, it isn't really as hard as that map. But as you can see right there, about 360 combo, there's a lot of these non-hypers that are quite far away from your catcher, which are pretty hard to just manage and consistently get throughout the entire map.
Yeah, I'd say the hardest pattern in this map is probably when there's these jumps that you see, and there's probably about 4 or 5 of them that are non-hypers, and the last one, like right there, as you can see, is a hyper note, and that's very confusing for a lot of CP players to actually hit. So this could be a nice pick for top seed teams.
Could be a surprise pick, yeah.
The jumps are a lot harder than they actually do look, so.
Am I tripping?
It's also a great song. Samasabi is a very good artist.
Yeah, what I hear from some people is that their favorite song selection comes from CWC on average.
Yeah, that's pretty
So,
nice.
Hey, you can be proud of that, community. Good job. But yeah, thanks to the map pickers for also considering picking good songs next to just good
That
maps.
Alright, so that was the last Nomad pick. And we should be moving on to the hidden map pool. Which we have Bathtub Mermaid by Millie, mapped by Jiri Yaktama. So this map is AR 8.8, slightly lower than what most people are used to or comfortable with hidden. But this map has the biggest factor in this map is the droplets. As you can see on those very long sliders, some of those droplets can be very awkward to hit, and you could take a pretty big score penalty if you miss enough droplets.
Yeah, you can see a showcase player also missing some of those droplets. And trust me, he's done multiple times on this map. Once again, this could be one of those maps that really comes down to just those small little details, those droplets that might just give the edge to one team over another. Altogether though, this is quite a hard hidden pick, I would say. These hypers over here, combined with those sliders, could make overshoot quite easily.
Yeah, definitely. And the
Especially-
fact that it's also CS 4.5 too. I don't think we mentioned that, but CS 4.5 is a bit smaller than what a lot of people are used to.
Yeah, exactly.
And when
Precision
people
is key.
do play CS 4.5 or anything over 4, they usually play it with Hard Rock, not really on something that's AR 8.8. So it's something that's completely new for a lot of people, I'd say, in terms of trying it out.
Yeah, it's a slow pace as well that might make it difficult. It's not really fast
See
as
the-
in,
Big jumps that are coming in.
yeah, together with those sliders that just go on for ages and contain a lot of big droplets too. I mean, those can break a combo if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Gotta be careful with this pick.
This ending might also see quite some misses.
Yeah, it's very awkwardly placed in your platter movement.
Yeah,
There's a
for
lot
hidden.
of far jumps that you can get to, yeah. So seeing that map at the end will be a challenge, but there's also a spinner, just in case you miss a few notes. Maybe as a little bit of extra bonus points.
And that could be interesting, actually, if members from both teams were to miss at the end. Maybe the spin
Yeah,
could
and then it
actually
would
be
be a
relevant.
spin
Yeah.
battle. Yeah, even though there's misses, that'd be very interesting.
And here's your typical all day. We see this every year. JB Hyperion hidden map in the hidden bracket of the group stage. This is AR 8.2 CS5. Also really high CS, I should rather say. What is written down here is that this is an anti-meta difficulty setting. So this really doesn't follow the traditional catch patterning and catch mapping. As you can see, it really puts a lot of emphasis on certain 1/4s, and altogether that makes it quite a challenge, as the AR is also really low, 8.2, really close to touching the 8.
This is very, very slow for a lot of players nowadays. And the fact that, again, it's another small circle-sized map. It's going to be pretty rough, possibly, for some people who aren't too experienced with hidden. In previous years, we've had some hidden pools where they've been kind of user-friendly towards people who don't play hidden as much. And this year, they're going all out with the you need to know how to play low AR hidden, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, this could be very interesting for some teams that have low AR hidden players. They probably could get a few points off of some of these maps.
Man, this could prove really difficult as well for players that aren't used to this playing style. Adapting to this like a week prior to the actual matches, that is really hard to do. You can't really get good at AR8 hidden in such a short amount of time. You can try and become good at the map, but once you're in the tournament, you only get one attempt on the map, and that's it.
Yeah. You can take lessons from people like Zach or Alien Flatbutt, but it's not gonna help too much probably in
Not at this
just 1
point.
week. So yeah. And the last pick that we have for hidden is a convert, Porter Robinson Flicker, the World's difficulty. So this map is also less than AR9, AR 8.5, but it has very large jumps. That's the big key for this map, is that it has pretty far jumps that are unexpected at a lot of points.
It's kind of like Marble Soda we saw in normal, but then with hidden.
Yeah, and it's also low BPM, so some of these jumps, they're seen very, very far. It's just hard to hit.
Yeah, there's not a lot I can add to that. That is really the main difficulty of the map. As you can see, it's quite difficult to get the right positioning for some of those jumps that have increased pacing. And that could prove really difficult to under nervous conditions. Especially once you miss, you might be out of the rhythm of the map too. Especially when you're missing in those more stacked sections like this one. Probably a map you might see people even fail on, depending on how much they've prepared.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen the ending as well, by the way, the ending is gonna give you advice. Ending is pretty brutal from what I've seen, and I think fail potential is pretty realistic on this map. Even though it's only like 3.5 stars, it's possible. So, gotta watch out for the ending. You'll see it in about a minute when it comes up.
Nice build up as well.
Yeah. This section right here is a lot of edge jumps, kind of. Some unexpected spacing. Some of the edge jumps turn to hypers later on as it gets farther in, but now you see right here, it's a huge section without any hypers. It can be very hard to hit. Alright, here comes that ending. That is really hard. It's not yet. There it is. Really brutal ending.
Especially if you already have an FC. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's gonna be a few players that might fail that ending because there's a lot of very far jumps. It's a lot of hypers. It's a lot of non-hypers, all mixed in between.
They're pretty close to edge dashes as well, so that is going to prove really difficult for people that are bad with handling with nerves. But that is going to wrap it up for Hidden as we move into Hard Rock. Kicking off with AO10 on Dried Up Youthful Flame, Collapse Plateau by both Rosie's Jaeger and Sanji. This map is a TV size with high BPM and really dense, so that means it's just mostly going to be a bursty map. It's fairly easy to read, but if you're not compatible with Hard Rock enough, you're going to be missing on some of those spacings, some of those triplets perhaps, which are generally really nasty on such platters as this one.
And another note is that this is CS 3.5, so it's not the normal 5.2 that you would usually see. And there are some patterns in this map, like one coming up right about there, as you saw at 250-ish, where it's what I like to call a Hard Rock pattern, in which Hard Rock slightly changes the positioning of some fruits and it makes it very awkward to catch. Usually patterns that you don't see catch specific maps that you play all the time. So seeing maps that have my quote-unquote hard rock patterns, I like to call them, as in a platter is very interesting to see. I think this is the hardest hard rock pick in the pool, in my personal opinion.
And those sorts of paths mostly pop up only at range and any difficulty above that, but here, again, it's quite nasty, you could say.
Yeah.
This ending is pretty snappy as well, as you can see. Overshooting, not
spinner.
allowed.
And you saw that you could possibly catch one more extra banana. So here's a little tip if you're watching. Try to memorize that end spinner, maybe. Because there's one banana towards the middle that you can get that most people probably won't try to catch.
Winking at group C and F.
Might be a little helpful. Anyways,
practicing is always helpful.
We have Asymmetry by Horiyuri, the collab platter. So this is mapped by Ascendance and Xerox. It's another AR10 map, but this map is mostly known for the awkward spacing, kind of. It has a lot of awkward moments where you kind of stand still, and then you think in your head that you're supposed to move, but in reality you just stand still and wait for the next fruit. It's very misleading in that sense. So some people could call it memory. I prefer to call it knowing not to memorize, I guess, or knowing not to move. Like
Okay,
right
that
there,
makes
for example, yeah, there was one part where you just stand still and you catch the next note, where most people you would be like, wait, I have to move, don't I? But then you just don't move when you catch it. So it's
There's
like
some
the
aces
opposite of
flashbacks.
memory.
Yeah, this was also a map in AXS if I remember correctly, which is bad I can't remember because that was my tournament, but altogether, it's a comfortable pick except for those moments where Chicken Bible just described, just don't move. Perhaps it's smart for people to try and revolve as much around the middle of the screen with their catcher,
Yeah.
so they don't really face any unexpected surprises like those notes that just fall in the position where you wouldn't expect them to fall. You really do have enough time to read this, especially since this is still a plateau level map, and the patterns aren't really as fast and complicated as some of the higher end ones.
The map seems to also get kind of easier the more that you understand the flow of the map too, is what I feel. Once you start playing it a few times, get the hang of it, you sort of start to feel out when those standstill patterns are. Alright, and here's our last hard rock pick. Convert is Shura no Niwa by -P, the hard difficulty. It's a convert, like I said, CS 5.2, so it's CS4 without hard rock. It's AR 7, so AR 9.8 with hard rock, which is a little bit different from the last two. It's not quite at AR 10, which might make it a little bit more feasible for some of the non-hard rock players to actually do.
Yeah, the difference between 9.8 and 10 can actually be quite big for a lot of people. You are correct there.
Yeah.
As for this map, most people are used to getting these really unconventional converts in group stage for hard rock, where there's a lot of memorization going on and a lot of weird spacings that you just can't really appreciate. But as for this map, it's not quite the same, I would say. It does have its memorization jumps, that is correct. It does have spacings that aren't quite too comfortable, but they don't appear in quantity as much as you would expect. Other than that, it's just a very solid accuracy map, I would almost say, because there's so many sliders that you might just not consider catching droplets on. And probably this could also be a map which teams train to FC and just come down to accuracy battles on.
Definitely. And with this one being a little bit longer, not too much longer, but about 30 seconds longer than the other ones. It's very much consistency based, I'd say.
Who's playing right now? I'm thinking that most of these test plays have been done by Dave.
No, I think they're done by FD Floyd, actually. I've seen them talking in the chat, and seen their name a few times.
Yeah, I've also seen Dave's name pop up. I think it's just a mixture of the map selectors. All of them just take some of the maps. As you can see, this is FD Fluoride doing it.
Anyways, that's it for the Hard Rock pool. And we'll be moving on to the double time. So the first double time we have is Kacho Fugetsu by Senya. This is Benny's Platter. It's AR8, so it's AR 9.6. I don't know why it says 9.7 at the bottom. Probably because it's rounded up. Most people say it's 9.6. But this is very comfortable for most players. It's got some mixtures of 1/4s, 1/2s, 1/1s. So it's very, you know, standard of what most people would expect.
Benny's songs on double time anyway are also quite known for people dropping a lot of accuracy. Those sliders can be very nasty. Sometimes they kind of ramp up in speed, which leads to you needing more precision. Honestly, the map itself really isn't too difficult, but especially when playing with hidden, like with this player here is,
Yeah,
it
that's
could
optional.
prove fair. Yeah, it's optional, that is true. But together with those hypers that were earlier discussed, those 1/4 and halves, that actually might prove to some very precise snapping to be required. So overshooting is going to be one of the main issues in this map, I do believe, especially on those streams that are mostly straight, where you might just accidentally move, you know, press one of your movement keys a little bit too long for.
Also,
great
somebody in the chat asked if the time display at the bottom is before or after DT. That is after DT. So this is 2 minutes after DT is applied calculations.
Yep.
And yet, there are sliders in CTB. So sliders in CTB are what you can see when you see the droplets, the very tiny small fruits. Those are pattern, or those are what we see when you make a slider. It connects the slider head to the slider end, and everything in between it makes droplets.
There's
That's
also
how they
bigger
work.
droplets that can also break your combo. Missing those small droplets, they only decrease your accuracy, but they won't make your combo fade. It's only the big droplets and the big notes that
The
will
big
break your combo.
droplets
So.
are slider ticks for
Yep.
standard players.
Now here's a map you see a lot in tournaments. It's Last of the Wilds. This is made by Bob of Darkness, and this plateau actually gets picked a lot for tournaments with DT. Most players won't have a lot of reading issues with this. This is quite a famous map at this point already as well. Mostly consists of one cross-stream jumps. And the flow and distance, however, might be quite varying depending on where you are in the map. Sometimes they are almost crossing the entire screen, and sometimes they are more condensed and will require you to be more precise droplet plans.
Yeah, a lot of these sliders are really long, so could get a lot of droplets.
Is DT partially free mod in the CTB polls? You can pick hidden alongside the DT. Yep.
Yeah.
But it won't give you any extra score in score v2, as hidden has a multiplier of 1.0.
Yeah, Hard Rock DT is very unviable in catch right now.
Yeah,
So,
AR11
almost
is...
nobody can play Area 11. There's only one really notable Area 11 score, and that's by extent. Free mod
Or Russian.
Yeah. Hopefully you get more in the future. Wink wink.
Yeah, those are mostly
I'll
memorization
see
of
this.
AR11 plays. But as you can see, nothing of an escalation in this map. It's purely consistency
Very simple.
and not overshooting, and trying to keep your accuracy up to par with the rest of the plays. Also, long spinner.
Oh yes. Alright, so this is the last DT map. This is Scream by Zac Efron, mapped by Pishyfat. Very known standard mapper. He also usually makes a lot of good convert maps in CTB, surprisingly. They usually convert very well. And the way that he maps these maps, usually they're very fast BPM. So this is sort of the fast song for the DT pool.
So as you can see, a lot of tap
scream
movement.
jumps.
That as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of awkward jumps, sort of standstill jumps like those. Those are not really standstill jumps, but there are some standstills. But the spacing on these jumps is not as hard as it seems, just because you have DT on, fighter was faster, of course. Still relatively difficult, especially for a group stage. It's kind of surprising for a group stage, I'd say.
Yeah, this is definitely the hardest map in the double channel pool, I would say. The other maps are something you can really build upon and practice in a way where you don't really need to memorize anything and you can just play by instinct. This is more of a map where you might need to be prepared to take up the map, play it a handful of times, and be prepared for those nasty jumps, some sliding movements within sliders as well that increase or decrease with pace. And altogether, spacing wise, this really is the most difficult map in the double time pool. I will agree with you on that.
Yeah.
There's your scream
Alright.
at the end. Ah!
That was the last DT pick, and we're getting into the tiebreaker.
Also, no spinners in this map, so that means
Yeah.
your accuracy is gonna be really important. Again, you slide within some of those sliders as well, rather increasing or decreasing with speed over time, and you might even need to snap into them with some hypers before them, as you saw, primarily in the middle of the map. And here's the big
Here
boy.
we have the old, infamous JB Hyperion tiebreaker. This is actually the map that won, I think it was Best Marathon?
It was second
For
best
Mapper's Choice?
marathon.
Yeah, second best marathon, Mapper's Choice 2017. So this map is pretty quite known, I'd say, even though it doesn't have too many plays or FCs on it. I think it has like maybe 10 FCs, I think?
It doesn't
Not
have
too
too
sure
many
on that.
plays, but the FC count on this map is definitely quite low still.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some more FCs after this is shown. Who knows? But anyways, this is the tiebreaker. It's a very consistent map. It's 5 minutes, 10-second song. CS5 though, which is, I think that's a newish thing for tiebreakers, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't seen CS5 tiebreakers in recent memory. Definitely not. Previous year we had Necrophantasia, which was 4.2 or 4. Not too sure, but definitely not 5. This is actually quite interesting to see though. CS5 in a tiebreaker. This is mostly the point where everybody is just nervous, right? If you have to fight off a team at tiebreaker stage, that is where the nerves just kicking for pretty much everybody. The higher the CS is, the less accurate you will play, and you could definitely have some very unfortunate weird misses on some non-hypers, even some of these slower sections in this map, as you can see here.
Yeah.
Overall,
These drop is also very rough.
yeah, some 1/4
It's
hyper
so
dash
bad.
patterns will be there as well. And the compartments within the map are definitely way different from one another. Some are just very consecutive on the 1-2s, and some are rather fast. Some only have like 1 or 2 notes pop up on your screen every second or so. It's quite it's a map with quite a lot of variety, I should say. Definitely that much. It is unconventional compared to what you would expect from a tiebreaker too.
Yeah, it's something new, something out of left field, kind of. It's a pretty decent pick for a tiebreaker, I'd say. Got some very nice jams. Do you feel alive, sorry?
I feel very alive. What about you?
Oh yeah. Song is very good. You get a singing party going to this song.
Yeah,
Nice.
once you've won, you can after party with this map in the background still.
Turn it
Lots
up,
of music.
turn it up the volume.
Yeah, good job there. Turn up that volume. Yeah, it's a party, everybody. CWC 2018 has begun. Officially.
I'm not quite sure when the map pools would be uploaded on the Wikipedia. Do you know by any chance? Sir?
I have not been told exactly when, but expect them very soon anyway. If you are too impatient, you can definitely rewatch this VOD and just, you know, scramble and search for everything yourself.
I'm sure there are also people who are keeping track of all the map picks. So
Looking at alien
they'll probably
flavors.
be around somewhere. Yeah, definitely.
There's definitely ways to already find them right after the stream. I mean, you can get started right now if you wanna,
Yeah.
but as for the map pack / Mappool on the wiki, it might take a little bit. So I don't know if Wonderful is actually alive right now, whether he's still asleep or not. We'll have to wait and see. It's quite early over there, right? In
Yeah.
North America, South America.
Still 11:30 a.m. So, or at least on the East Coast. West Coast.
Yep. And we are going even louder. Everybody connected to Bluetooth. It's quite interesting though, as for a song choice for tiebreaker, it's not as nerve-wracking as some of the songs that we saw in the past. Honestly, it's quite comforting, I would almost say. So in that regard, yeah, it might actually provide for a little bit of extra fuel for the players as you see them map, instead of making them even more nervous.
Yeah.
Indie, however, could be very nerve-wracking. You see some close to cross-screen jumps here. And
Yeah, there's
after
all
holding
very
on to
small
combo for so long, yeah, it might just break you right at the end, especially due to its slow pacing. All right, next to you.
By JB Hyperion.
And that wraps up the opening ceremony of CWC 2018 pretty much. If you liked the content, definitely follow the channel and subscribe if you wanna. You'll get a notification whenever we go live, and you'll be seeing some of the very best catch to beat action around in Osu.
Yep. And also, the schedules, they will be sorted out very soon. Should be probably on the Wikipedia within the next day or two. And actually, I'm not even sure when they'll be up, but we will also have the matches next weekend. Is actually when first matches are. So next Saturday, 1 week from today, is when the matches begin. So come back next week to see the matches from all these maps and all these teams from the drawings. Should be a really good time.
That is indeed correct. Definitely for other players, also keep an eye on the Wikipedia page because that's where all the information will get filed over to. You will probably also receive an invite from your team captain fairly soon as to join the CWC Discord server, so keep an eye out for that as well.
Should probably put a link into the Twitch chat for the wiki, right? Just in case people don't have that.
That would be smart. Who is able to do that right now?
Yeah.
Let me have a look. Are you gonna? Okay, hold up. Let me actually go to Twitch then real quick. Log in. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We definitely did. We are very happy to see CWC making a comeback once again.
There you go. Wormy is first one to put the link in, so.
Congratulations, Vermi.
If you want to go to that link, that's the CWC wiki link. If you want more updates, everything going on, we have the whole list of participants, you have every commentator, we have prizes, all that stuff, all the time, tournament schedule, everything is on there. So
Everything, every single thing.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. I think we're gonna close down this stream. I really do hope you enjoyed and that you will be catching us later in the upcoming rounds of the tournament. I'm promising you. There you go.
Catching us later.
It's a pun from Sartnyanova XD of all people. Who would have expected? I'm the one who does the least fruit puns or catch puns, whatever you want to call them. But there you have it. In honor of the World Cup. I do really hope you guys appreciated the stream, and I'm really hoping we'll see you next week with some of the greatest matches of catch, what we can offer at least.
Yeah. Alright.
I want to thank you as well, Chicken Bible, for joining me, and Divine, Divine Cake, who sadly had to drop out due to a power outage.
You'll be seeing more of him though in the future.
Yeah.
He'll be commentating some matches.
When electricity is back,
Yeah.
you'll hear the man. Alrighty. Take care, everybody. Have a good day, have a good evening, wherever you might live, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.